But I think that that's like one of those things that I think people would be surprised about me is that generally speaking, I'm not listening to a whole lot of period music. Maybe that makes me a total imposter, but
Hi, welcome to the guest list with Patrick Hicks. Today, my guest is Gabby Jones, vintage fashion content creator. I'm really excited to have you today, Gabby. Thank you so much.
thank you so much, Patrick. I'm truly so excited to be here. I love what you do. I feel like we're kind of adjacent in the fashion history versus music history, so I love your stuff.
Yes, there's so much overlap between music and fashion, but I know a lot about the music part and none about the fashion. So I love watching your content. If people are not familiar, you do stuff about the history of fashion and vintage fashion, but you also do it in a really funny way a lot of the time, make it very accessible to people like me who don't know anything about fashion, and you show off the clothes, but also I love the ones you do where it's kind of like taking on a modern trend, but doing it like as if you were in the 60s. So you just have a lot of fun, inventive ideas. You also have your first book coming out. Tell me a little bit about that. I'm excited.
Yeah, so it's called How to Dress Vintage. And each chapter is a different decade in the 20th century. So we start in the 1900s, we go 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, all the way through the 90s. And each chapter kind of we talk about like the historical context, some of the things that you need to know about what was going on in the world. And then I get into like what kinds of patterns and sleeves and skirts and everything, you should look for if you want to dress like you're from that decade. And then I end each chapter by sort of giving you some formulas. So if you want to dress like you're, going out in the evening in the 1950s, you might do this, 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 and this. So it's really like jam-packed full of information on how to create vintage looks using what you have, how to thrift for it, how to look for it. And a ton of historical imagery, a ton of images of my own pieces. So I'm really proud of it, and I'm really excited to finally have it up.
Yeah, you can pre-order it now. When does it come out
Yes.
though?
August 12th.
Oh, okay. Oh, really soon.
Yeah.
How did you get into vintage fashion? When did that become a thing for you?
Yeah. Well, I kind of always say like vintage was always a part of my life. I just didn't recognize it as vintage until like much later. Um, my grandma has been a vintage collector her entire life, so I grew up like playing vintage hats with her and my grandpa and, watching and seeing all of the vintage dresses hung up in the playroom. So I was wearing vintage all throughout my childhood and high school. And then at some point in college, I was like, oh, this is actually from the 1940s, and this is the history of it. And that's when I got really interested in learning about them. And because so many of the pieces in my collection are from my family, I really wanted to document what I could about the pieces before, my family members were gone and couldn't tell me for themselves.
Sure.
So that's how I started doing social media and documenting the pieces.
Yeah. You are from Minnesota, is that right? If I remember correctly.
Yes. Yes.
Born and raised there?
I was born and raised there. Yes. As of like 3 months ago, I'm in Illinois now. I know you're Chicago, right?
Yeah, I just saw that
Okay.
actually on your TikTok that there was like a
Yeah.
little map pin and said Illinois, and I was like, oh, did she move?
Yeah.
What part of Illinois?
Yes. I'm like far southeast. I'm almost to Missouri.
Oh, okay. What brought you?
Yeah. My partner is a director, so he accepted an artistic director position down here. And it has been crazy. It is a much smaller town than I'm used to, but I really am loving the like real sense of community.
Okay, that's great. Yeah,
Mhm.
you were also an actress, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So you've got
Yeah,
you wear many hats, many vintage hats.
yes, indeed.
And what about music? Are you a singer or anything? Any musical theater?
I love musical theater so, so much, but I always have said that like I don't have the voice to do it. I could be in the ensemble, but like I'm not a soloist. It's
Hmm.
so fun, but it's not my calling.
Yeah,
Hmm.
understandable. I did improv here at Second City, and a big part of
Really?
it is you kind of have to do singing, and I have never been a singer. I mean, I sang in punk bands, uh, but that training really helped because they're like, you don't have to be a singer. The character you're playing is singing, so that kind of helped. But it was definitely not my strong suit.
It is fun, but it is so intimidating.
Yes.
Yes.
So what is a song that reminds you of your childhood growing up in Minnesota?
Yeah, I feel like for starters, like the young childhood was like the original Phil Collins Disney stuff. I feel like
Hmm.
Tarzan, On My Way from Brother Bear, I think is like the one that really stands out to me. I think me and my little brother were watching one of the Phil Collins something when my parents told me that they were pregnant with my littlest brother. So like
Oh,
that is my childhood is in the
yeah.
Phil Collins stuff. Yeah.
All right, what is a song from a live concert that stands out to you?
Oh my gosh. I so born and raised in Minnesota, and Trampled by Turtles from the Duluth area have been like a really in my adult life. I love them. So I've been to a couple of their Duluth concerts where they're from. And there was this concert where they right before they performed Whiskey, they like had everyone in the audience like look out and watch the sunset because it was an outdoor amphitheater.
Oh wow.
And I remember like the feeling of being surrounded by like thousands of people all there to just like enjoy. We're on the water, watch the sunset was like really powerful. And I will always remember that rendition of Whiskey and just like being a part of something that felt like really intimate in this huge space in the outdoors.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Mhm.
amazing. They're like a jam band, right?
Yeah, yeah,
This is the one kind of blind spot I have in my musical knowledge is I am not into jam bands, but I know the name, but
yeah,
I don't know the song, so I got to check it out for sure.
yeah.
Are you big into like Fish and bands like that, or is this just you like them because they're from Minnesota?
I kind of have been getting more and more into bluegrass jam band kind of style stuff. Um, so I would say more like the Punch Brothers, Trampled by Turtles kind of vibes, the
Yeah.
mandolin, fiddle, banjo kind of stuff. But not Fish yet.
Hmm.
Maybe in the near future.
What about your partner? What kind of music is he into?
I say he's kind of all over the place. He's like a little bit, he likes some funk, he likes some soul. He loves anything with like a brass section.
Oh, really?
Um, I know, in addition to sort of bluegrass, some
Yeah.
pop, you know, can find something in anything.
Yeah. All right. What about, do you have a song that you associate with a specific activity?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like anytime that I like need to pump up, like before a show, anytime I'm like really like lagging whilst working out, I always play Cuff It by Beyonce. It's just such
Yes.
a right, right. There's something about it that like is so okay, I can keep going. I can just strut it out. I can do it. So definitely anytime that comes on, I'm dancing. That is my like I need to pump up song.
Yeah, that's right. And the whole Renaissance album is good for that. Yeah.
Hmm.
What do you when you're kind of putting together your looks, like are you listening to period music from that time period?
Not usually, no. Sometimes I do, but I think that that's like one of those things that I think people would be surprised about me is that generally speaking, I'm not listening to a whole lot of period music. Maybe that makes me a total imposter, but it just isn't really a part of my day to day.
I mean, that's kind of why I wanted to have you on is because in my mind, I'm like, is she listening to like 20s jazz all the time? Like, I really did not have a sense of what kind of music you're listening to,
Yeah,
on your content. So this is fascinating.
yeah.
What is a song that makes you emotional?
Yes. Okay, this is I love this question. And I love listening to other people's answers because I feel like this gives like such an interesting picture and like sneak into people's lives. So my song is Wildflowers by Tom Petty. And my mom passed away in 2021.
Oh,
And this was like I found so much comfort in the idea of like you are among the wildflowers because she was like a wild, wild, wild woman. And then later in my life, when I met my boyfriend and we were like at one of our very early concerts we went to together, they whatever I can't remember who the band was, but they were playing a cover of Wildflowers. And he turned to me and he was like, "Oh, this song makes me think of you." And I just like I can never not cry at that song. Partly because, I have this association with my mom, but also because I feel like my whole life I've always been told like that I'm just like my dad. I have so much in common with my dad. I look like my dad. So to like have someone who is so important to me see me like her, that like will always get me and make me so emotional.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear
Mhm.
about your mom.
Thank
Uh,
you.
that is one of the most beautiful songs ever written. But yeah, this song came up on an early episode of this podcast, and I think like this should be an American standard. Like every band should cover this song. It's so good.
So true. So true.
What is a song you associate with a milestone in your life?
Yeah. So I moved to California for school. I went to Chapman, which your dad taught teaches at,
Oh,
right?
yes, that is so funny.
Yeah.
Chapman is like this small college, and yet for some reason, like I was just in New York a month ago, and my dad met me there. We went out to eat, and he was wearing a Chapman sweater, and our waitress was like, "Oh, I went to Chapman." Like
So
everywhere we go.
funny.
Yeah, okay. What did
Yeah,
you think
yeah.
of Chapman?
I studied theater, so I got my BFA in theater performance. And I feel like the move was big, Minnesota to California,
Yeah.
and I didn't know anyone, and I felt like it was the time where I like really decided to pursue theater and like take it seriously and like yeah, that was just a time where I was really proud of the work and the craft and like really feeling like I was doing it. And so in those early Chapman days, while I was driving to do shows in Long Beach or La Mirada, I would blare the song North Carolina by Little Chief. And I don't know why, because I was in California, like on the roads of the highways of California, singing about North Carolina. But I just remember like screaming it at the top of my lungs, and like nothing else existed when I was singing North Carolina. So don't
Love it.
know. That's, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What you didn't want to stay in California after college? What made you go back to Minnesota?
Mostly COVID. I was a 2020, my junior year. I ended up back home and then I kind of got to go back senior year for a little bit to be in person. And then life was just crazy. My mom was sick and then I was just ended up back home in Minnesota and oh my gosh, was it the most incredible place to be for college. Like California was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right. What is a song with some of your favorite lyrics?
I really, really went back and forth about this, fighting myself. But I think my answer is Spark Set Fire by the Western Den. Um, it's kind of, that like indie folk, but I think that it's just really brilliant and lyrics that, I mean, like, I'm not a lyricist, but I couldn't ever imagine putting into something and making it sound like cohesive.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Have you ever written a song?
Not since I was like a little kid. I feel like, when you're tiny and you're making up stuff, but nothing substantial.
What was the song you were back and forth on? Can you say, or are you using it for another category?
I'm using it for another category.
Okay, perfect.
You knew, yeah.
All right, what is a song that you think expanded your musical horizons?
This is it. This is the one that I was back and forth about. I feel like All Ashore by the Punch Brothers really introduced me to that bluegrass jam
Mhm.
band, the string instruments. Um, and it is just so like there's such a feeling about it. I feel like every time I listen to really that whole album, but specifically All Ashore, I get this like almost alter ego about me because I feel like there's this yeah, it creates such an environment to me and it's so like addicting. I listen to it and I want to listen to more and more.
All right, what is a song that you love that somebody else introduced you to?
My best friend Brooklyn, who I went to college with, we were college roommates. She made me this Spotify playlist called like songs for the sister that I never had. And
Oh,
I know there's songs on here
that's
that
so
like I
sweet.
probably should have known, but I didn't. But the one that stands out is Light On by Maggie Rogers. Um,
Absolutely love
right,
it. Yeah, that's a good.
right, yeah, so good.
What was that like? So you went to college not knowing anybody, and then was she just randomly matched with you as your roommate?
So technically, I had two other roommates my freshman year who were both dancers, who were lovely women, but we just kind of like weren't friends outside of being roommates. But she lived like directly above me on the floor above me.
Okay.
And through theater classes, we just kind of met and really meshed. And then from that point on, we got a home, five, me and four other girls. We all lived together. They are to this day some of my best friends ever. And it's interesting to be like a young person forced into proximity with all these other young people. And I do feel really grateful that I found some people who like really are my people to this day.
Yeah, I really like miss that I didn't have that kind of traditional college experience.
Mm,
I sort of had that through bands. I mean, like people that I played
mm,
music with are kind of like
mhm,
people I still keep in touch with, but like my wife went to University of Illinois and she has friends that she met like her freshman year of college, like literally like the first week of college that they
mm,
still talk all the time. They go on trips together still, like, 20 years later, they're still best friends. So I do kind
mhm,
of miss that. So
Yeah.
do you only have the two brothers? Did you have a sister?
I do know. I just have the two brothers. So that was kind of part of what she's the eldest. She has brother. I was the eldest. I have two
Yeah.
brothers. So it was very much like we had a similar upbringing. We have similar like styles of communication and we kind of knew the experience of being that eldest sister. And so we always refer to each other as the sister that I never had.
What about the other way? What is a song that you love that you introduced somebody else to?
Yes, I love this question. So, my COVID happened my junior year of college. So I was in my program. There were 16 of us who were all getting our BFAs in theater performance. And during COVID, we're all like in our childhood bedrooms, and we decided to send one song to each person. So then we would make playlists with all of the songs that we got. So I don't remember every song I gave everyone, but the one song that I always remember is Sunscreen by Ira Wolf. I gave to my friend Zoe. And every single time I hear that song on any of my playlists, I'm like, oh, that reminds me of Zoe so much. Yeah.
Why did you pick that song for her? Was there a reason?
Yeah, I mean it like being a BFA theater major, I feel like we just like get up and share our deepest secrets every single day to each other. And so I know so much about these people and I felt like that song really just like encompassed where she was from my perspective our junior year of college. So, it talks about all these things that I felt like were relatable to her and I know that she like really received it and was like, "Oh my gosh, Gabi, this is totally what I'm feeling right now." So it just really encompassed my perception of what was going on at the time.
What do your like college friends think of your social media success? Were they like, "Oh, we knew this was going to happen," or are they surprised?
I'm surprised. I do. I think that it's like a very adjacent path. Like they didn't really see me talk about vintage clothes, or I mean, like I wore them, but in college, especially, they didn't know the extent of which I had this crazy collection. So I think that they are surprised. They're so supportive. They're so happy to see it. They always tell me every time I see your stuff, I like it. I comment, like, I love seeing you. But I don't think that this is like a path anybody saw me taking, myself included, honestly.
No, you didn't. This was not like a goal for you. It was just kind of something that happened.
Yeah, yeah. It blossomed out of not being able to perform and wanting to just like practice telling stories and, writing scripts and editing. And it really like boomed into something that I never imagined that it would be. But, I think that the passion that I have for it and the excitement and like the love I have for fashion and fashion history is part of the reason why people like want to come along because they're interested and they can see that I love it. But I truly didn't think that it would be like
Yeah.
any scope of what it is. Yeah.
Was there a specific moment where you thought like, oh wow, like this is really something? Like a lot of people are actually watching this, or I'm blowing up? Like, was there a moment that hit for you?
Yeah, I think like 3 months into creating videos, and I did like every single day for 3 months. I hit like 60,000 on TikTok, and that was like an unfathomable number to me. And then I started getting, like, oh, hey, we're a vintage shoe brand. Would you be interested in trying our shoes? And that's when I was like, oh, this is people see me. That's crazy.
I don't think I had my first brand deal until like 8 months in, but there was before that, like just the idea that thousands of people and then millions of people are watching you just like record at your house, like, in your room.
Yes.
It's such an insane feeling.
It is crazy. And I also feel like brand deal wise, like fashion is so like there's a million fashion brands, whereas music is a little more niche.
Very true, yeah. Especially music history. Because I do have sometimes people reach out and be like, "Can you promote the newest song by this person?" And I'm like, "No, that's not what I do at all." So
Completely.
it has to be the right fit for me to do something. But
Hmm.
it's also like, like I'd done a lot of live performance doing improv, and I'm sure you'd done like a lot of plays. And it's so
Hmm.
different. Like if I had an improv show where 50 people were there, I would be like, this is a huge sellout. And now, if I had a video with 50,000 views, I'd be like, oh, that one didn't do so great. So it's such a weird
Yes.
juxtaposition between like I'm used to performing, but like I'm not used to millions of people seeing my face. That's got to be weird for content creators.
Yes, yes. I had like a person once who was like, "Where in the world can you perform where 2 million people could see you?" And I was like, "I've never thought about that before. Nowhere. It doesn't exist." Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
it's pretty crazy. Do you get recognized?
I do, but I feel almost like my clothes get recognized first. Like I was recently like in the bathroom at a restaurant and this woman was like, "I love your dress. Is that from the 60s?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Oh my gosh, that's your grandma's dress." And I was like, "Yes." So it's almost like my clothes precede me.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so to bring it back to clothes and music, what what musician do you think has the best fashion sense, and what is your favorite song by them?
I mean, like I feel like as a vintage person, my gut reaction is Cher always because
Love it.
literally what does she not do? And all the Bob Mackie like is so amazing. Oh my gosh, but like a specific Cher song. I think maybe like Dark Lady. Like I feel like the 70s is that iconic, the height of those like I think of the cutout sparkly dresses with her whole midriff showing. Oh, so good.
Yeah, I mean she's an icon for sure.
Yeah.
But I do think her iconness kind of overshadows her music. Like she has music going back to the 60s that is very important in the history of music and rock and roll. So that's a great pick.
Totally.
All right, last question. What is the most recent song that you've fallen in love with?
Okay, I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna say two.
Go for
Um, Salt and the Sea by Gregory Alan Isakov has been playing on repeat for me lately. But also Michigan Cherries by the River Wileys I've been listening to on repeat. Something about the folky vibe for me lately. This summer, that is all that I want to listen to.
I love it. Do you feel like there's like a song of the summer this summer? I feel like there's no Brat Summer equivalent this year.
Yeah. I mean, all of the Sabrina Carpenter stuff has been pretty popular, I feel like, for
Hmm.
the past
Okay.
year, but I don't know. The iconography of Brat Summer was kind of can't be
Yeah.
replicated this summer.
Yeah. Gabby, this was amazing. Thank you so much for doing this. What do you have to promote right now?
I am currently performing my one-woman show, What We Wore. I just finished up Green Bay Fringe Festival and I'm about to head to Minnesota Fringe Festival. So beginning of August, I'm going to be performing that. And then my book, What We Wore, or my book, How to Dress Vintage, comes out on August 12th.
Yeah, I can't wait to read it. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Patrick.
You've heard the stories, now hear the songs. Go to wherever you listen to music, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, and you can listen to today's guest's personalized playlist if you search for The Guest List with Patrick Hicks.